Right, everyone. I'm trying to keep up with all the people jumping on. I'm going to try to make sure everybody gets in and I allow everybody in. I'm super excited. Thank you all for being here. Let me know if you can hear me. Anybody can drop a comment or make sure you got me in the chat. Cool. Awesome. Glad everyone can hear me. We're just going to give it a little second for everybody else to hop on. In the chat and comments for a little bit, throw in there where you're from, what market you're in, where you're at in your real estate career. That way we can get to know kind of who's on the call. Denver, nice. Milwaukee, licensed for 4 months, love it. This is going to be super helpful. If I had this in the beginning of my career, I would be at a different place. That is for sure. Third year, Nate, my man. San Diego, awesome. Tulsa, Canada. There we go, Michael. Good to see you here. Cool. Awesome. We got some other people hopping on as well, so we'll maybe give it a little bit longer before we jump in. San Antonio, Zach, my man. New Jersey. I'm glad I'm seeing some familiar faces. Excited to see you guys all on the call. This is going to be good. I'm super bummed out for whatever reason. My actual camera is not working, so hopefully the Zoom camera on my laptop is solid and you can see me and it's not like fuzzy or anything like that. But I think we're going to be ready to jump into it, and if more people start hopping on, we'll go from there. So to kind of kick this presentation off and kind of what we're going to be doing is I have a slideshow where I'm going to walk you through my entire follow-up system that I use to automate my business. It's pretty much everything I do on a daily basis, broken down into different categories and into different strategies of how to follow up with different levels of clients. So for example, a new client that you don't have contact information for, or a past client, sphere of influence, or an active client. We're going to go through all of those aspects of follow-up and how to properly follow up with each of those. And then on top of that, at the end of this call, we'll do a Q&A. I'll open it up. You guys can ask questions. And then if you stayed at the end of the call, there will be a link to get to at least get on the wait list for the ultimate follow-up guide. This is going to be this presentation broken down into a checklist where you can pretty much have this on your desk and go through it every single time you have a client or want to reference back to it. And hopefully it'll be super valuable for y'all. So I am going to jump into it and go from there.
Can I ask a question before you start?
Yeah, Scott, what's up?
Yeah, real quick. I was thinking about this. I was like, man, if I could have my things divided into daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, maybe quarterly and annually, is that kind of how is that something that Monday.com, or is that something that would handle that sort of desire?
Yeah, so I used Monday.com for a long time. I just recently switched, but okay. Monday.com was awesome. And so we'll dive into CRM and what I use now within the training. And so we'll talk about kind of how to automate it on like a yearly, monthly basis. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so everybody welcome. Obviously, we are already talking about that. I talked about the free gift, the ultimate follow-up guide. Super pumped for you guys to have that. For those that don't know me, I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me. My first year of real estate was the regional rookie of the year. I struggled forever doing cold calls. A lot of you know that I then transitioned to door knocking and had a lot of success doing that. The next year, I was the brokerage wide top producer. And then for year 3, I've sold over 15 million with pretty much no prospecting. And I've been in the career almost, man, 4 coming up on 5 years. And just within those 3 years, I sold over 40 million in volume in real estate. And so it's been a wild ride. I've learned a ton. I've struggled a ton. And that's why I am here doing this, is because I want to give back to real estate agents so they can succeed. And so with, with that being said, these numbers didn't happen overnight. I worked super hard for them. And my goal is, from this training, if you can just set a couple more appointments every single week, or if you can close 1, 2, 3 more deals a month, what that would do for your life. Hopefully it will change your life astronomically, and that you can go on to do incredible things because of the success you're seeing from just staying on top of your people and having a system to pretty much crush it. And so what you'll learn in this is pretty much my entire follow-up system, A to Z, and it will help you scale your business pretty much to the point where it's on autopilot, so you can live the life of your dreams, which a lot of people don't think is possible as a real estate agent. We all think, okay, we got to work 24/7. We're going to be grinding the rest of our lives because this career is challenging. If I don't have a deal coming up, I'm going to die. And that's not the case. There is a way to build your business properly and effectively so you can scale, put it on autopilot, and still crush it and sell a ton of real estate. And so hopefully this is a plug and play system for you guys. So diving into it right off the bat, the first phase in this is active prospecting to passive leads. And so pretty much how to take an active prospecting lead that you met on a phone call, open house, door knock, whatever it may be, and turn them into a client through follow-up. I'm obviously going to dive into why door knocking is king for this. You can use whatever prospecting method you want, but I have a pitch for you that door knocking is the best, just because you're able to know exactly where your client lives, where they're going to be, and you don't have to worry about them not answering the phone, not responding. It's super powerful to be able to say, hey, I talked to that person, haven't heard from them a little bit, or they told me to come back. I'm just going to go re-knock their door. So for those that are not interested in door knocking, wait a second, there's an entire next process of how to follow up with the same type of client when it's not a door knocking. But this is for those that do door knock and how to follow up with those type of leads. So the first step is obviously the first time you knock on the door, and where to go from there after giving your pitch, because hopefully you crushed it. Hopefully you set an appointment. Hopefully you're going back and you're on your way to closing, but that's not going to happen all of the time. And honestly, it's totally okay. The fact that it's not going to happen majority of the time. Main reason, because door knocking is a numbers game and a lot of people just aren't ready to move, but you will be astonished how effective door knocking is. And so where to go after you knock if you weren't able to set an appointment, or if you were only to grab their contact information, how to re-knock them and be successful at it. So the next step is obviously not to just chill and just hope they call you. There's way more we can do on a daily basis to stay top of mind for that client, and to not just sit there. Because a lot of agents are going to be like, okay, I'm going to prospect, I'm getting all of these clients, and I don't know how to follow up. I think a lot of you can relate to the fact that you have leads that you're talking to through calls, door knocking, whatever it may be, but you don't want them to slip through the cracks, and you want to be able to follow up with them without just having to wait for them. And so we're going to jump into a monthly email later, but that's part of how to stay top of mind. So coming back to the second time you knock them, because in my follow-up system, I want to knock on the same person's door 4 times a year. I knock every single, like in person, every single quarter. And there's a reason for that. There's different ways to follow up, and that's what I'm going over right now. So first quarter, you knocked, original pitch, introducing yourself, trying to get an appointment, trying to close them on selling, buying, whatever you're doing. The second time you knock is now you are providing just massive value to them. You're pretty much saying, hey, come to my client event. I have an open house, specific value for them. So maybe you're telling them that a similar home down the street sold that's exactly their floor plan, whatever it may be. You're just swinging back around and you're not pitching them at all. This is not a sales type conversation where your first pitch was like, hey, like, do you want to buy or sell? This is, hey, good to see you again. Call them by their name and say, I want to let you know I have a client event, would love for you to come. Or I'm holding an open house. You should come check it out. It's pretty similar to your home. Something like that, where you're just saying hello again, being super friendly, providing value, and then moving on. So it's not, man, this Cameron kid keeps coming to my door and tries to keep selling me. It's instead, hey, I had a great
How
conversation
do
with
I
them.
track who I knocked on, question mark?
Sorry, what, Scott?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize.
You're good. No worries. If you have a question, throw it in the chat. That way I can make sure I get to answering those questions, because we'll have that Q&A section at the end. But so when you're knocking for the second time, a lot of people think, okay, I'm following up with this person. I've spoke with them before. They haven't reached out to me yet. And I'm worried that they're going to be like annoyed that, why does this person keep knocking on my door? I'm not ready to sell. And so that's why you have to provide a massive amount of value to make sure that they are feeling comfortable and know that you're not just there to sell them constantly. And so, and once you've done that, provided value, the third time you knock around, so we're almost 3/4 of the way through the year at this point, you've spoken to them and you've email marketed them, which we'll get into. And so they know who you are. They've seen you. Hopefully you've had multiple listings at this point in the neighborhood. And so they're starting to get to know you really well. And this is when I bring written material. A lot of agents are going to think this is controversial, that I don't bring it sooner. A lot of agents knock doors with a CMA or kind of like a resume. I personally do not, because I want that value to come from me, and I want to be that face-to-face interaction and have that CMA or whatever not be a cop out for when I'm originally talking to them. And so the third time around is when I actually bring them written material, where I'll pull a CMA specifically on the neighborhood, bring it by to those that I'm knocking for the third time, and present it to them. Say, hey, I just want to let you know this is specific to your neighborhood. Hope you guys are doing great, and have a conversation with them and just keep going like normal. It's valuable, it's short, it's useful, and then you just move on. Again, we're not necessarily pitching them at that point. We're just providing value, because for the next knock is it's back to the basics, where we're now going deeper, but we're then again pitching them, where you're going back to that house and say it's Joe. You're saying, hey, Joe, I've been chatting with you for a year now. I know when we first talked, you were waiting to buy or sell because of XYZ. I just want to know if that's changed or if you've considered selling again. And so now you're on a much personable, more, I don't know how to say that. You get what I mean? You're much more acquainted with that person, so you can go deeper into that conversation without it being weird. You can be blunt. You can say, hey, we've built this relationship in a sense, want to kind of see where you're at, and go deeper with pretty much going back to a sales pitch in that sense, where you're asking questions, you're trying to solve their objections, and you're trying to further them along in the buying process. So that is my follow-up system from a person-to-person, face-to-face method for door knocking. 4 times a year, super basic, nothing crazy, but you want to hit them at least 4 times a year, because all of the other stuff that I'm about to go over is also going to be a touch that you're reaching out to them and they're seeing your face. So next, if you already have their contact information, like if it's a phone call, like you're cold calling, or if it's you got their contact information from door knocking, whatever it may be, where do we go from here? So trust me, like I say here on the slide, not everyone is cool and knocks doors. We still love you. Cold calling's fine. It's a great prospecting method. I did it for a while, and a lot of people have success with it. But how do you follow up with these type of leads and clients after you already have their contact information? And this really does apply to everyone. So regardless if you're knocking them, if you found them at an open house, they're going into this system so you can be really efficient with how to follow up with them. So diving into the first step is your monthly email. And I know I just mentioned this a little bit, but the monthly email is your golden ticket to repeat and consistent, constant business. If you know who Ricky Carruth is, he's obviously the one who coined the weekly email. He talks about it all the time. He's incredible at it. And if you haven't seen him, I recommend you go check him out. Ricky Carruth is the master of a weekly email, monthly email. But you have to determine how often you're going to send one. I personally do one only once a month. And there's a reason for that because of the other, got to go back for a second. There's a reason for only doing it once a month. The reason for that is because of the other ways I'm getting in touch with them and how often I am in the neighborhood. I think increasing that to a weekly email may be beneficial right now because of where the market's at, and going all in on current marketing or getting in front of prospects as much as possible. The reason for this is because a monthly email can be super valuable with video content, written content. But one thing I want to specify is with my monthly email, it's not as glamorous or like systematized as Ricky Carruth's. The reason I don't do that is because I want my monthly email to seem like I'm sending it like a traditional email where you literally hit the create button, say hello, you type it out and send it off. I don't have all these like fancy templates or graphics or whatever it may be. I totally add graphics and pictures that have data or things like that, but I don't like glamify it because I want it to be personable and I want it to them to know that, hey, this is me reaching out to you. This is personalized, not just an automated email that just goes out. Like I'm personally writing this out. So take that with a grain of salt. You obviously have to figure out what fits your business personality and how you run everything. So step number 2, after you are sending a weekly, monthly email, is leveraging hot sheets. They are extremely powerful if done correctly. So right when you get a contact, whether that's a phone call, door knock, open house, you want to shoot to get their email more than phone number. Email is super important because you're going to be able to market them more through an email than how often you're going to be able to call them through a phone number. And so with a hot sheet, if you had a great conversation with them, majority of the time, your goal is going to want to find out what type of home they're interested in. If they're going to make a move in 10 years, 6 months, 2 years, whatever it may be, you want to be having that conversation of kind of where they're headed with what type of home they want. The reason for that is because you then come back and put them on a hot sheet, regardless if they're waiting 10 years. You want to communicate, hey, I want to look for homes like this for you. That way you can kind of check them out. Everybody loves looking at homes. And so I'll start to send some homes your way. Some people are going to say, hey, no, I don't want that, but it is what it is. Like obviously listen to them and be respectful, but everyone else put them on a hot sheet. The reason why this is a gold mine is because this is something that you set and forget. And I have gotten multiple deals off of people sending me a text and be like, hey, can you show me the home you just sent me? I'm like, ooh, I don't remember sending you a home. And so I hop on to the MLS or my CRM or whatever is sending them homes. And I look and I'm like, oh, this is the home that they want to see. And I haven't talked to them in a year. And so it's pretty much the golden ticket or golden way to just constantly be sending them shiny objects where once they see something they like, and if you've been top of mind with a monthly email and hot sheet, your business is going to explode. They're going to reach out to you and they're going to be calling you because you're the one that sent them the home that they're now interested in. So step number 3 is managing your tasks like a business owner. Being a real estate agent, we have so much to do, but it is a business and you have to treat it as such. So with that being said, what I mean by this is you have to own your word. So if you're saying, hey, I'm going to call you in a week, you are 100% calling that person in a week. You don't go past that deadline. You don't miss it. You don't do any of that. You go back and you knock the door when you said you would come back by. You send them the home when you said you would. you have to manage your tasks really, really efficiently, because those are the things that people catch on to and care about. Where if they're expecting that they're going to get a call, or even if they forget, you're going to be able to remind them and say, hey, 3 months ago, I told you I would call you on this day, and here I am. And they're going to be like, holy cow, like this person's super diligent. They're crushing it. And it's going to earn you tons and tons of respect. And so what I recommend by this is either having a CRM that has a task manager in it, which I'll get to, or just really utilizing a calendar where whenever you talk to somebody, you make an appointment, put it in there and say, call Jim or Sarah or whatever at 3 p.m. on Friday. And every single morning you go through your task list and make sure, okay, I got to make this call at this time. That's another thing. A whole nother topic is making sure you have your daily routine locked in, but that'll be for another training. We won't go into that. Give me 1 second. A hot sheet. Thank you for the question. I want to make sure everybody is clarified. And if you have questions like that, no question is a dumb question. I appreciate you leaving that comment. A hot sheet is where you can set up criteria for somebody, like single family home, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, this amount of square footage within this area. And all the homes that fall within that criteria are going to be automatically sent in an email to your client. That way they can look through those homes, and that's what's called a hot sheet. It sends those homes within that criteria to your client. So thank you for that clarification in case I'm going too fast. Whoops. Okay, so the next thing is separating your leads. And what I mean by this is there's going to be leads that are not ready. There's going to be leads that are hot and looking actively, and there's going to be leads that are mediocre or just kind of like cool. And separating them and knowing how to market to each specific lead is extremely important. You're going to market to an active client way differently than you're going to market to somebody that said, I'm not ready, I just bought, I'm not going to want to buy a home for another 10 years, And so CRM is extremely important for this as well. You want to make sure that, oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. Yeah, so you want to make sure that the urgent people you need to take care of immediately, and the other people are on a drip campaign of emails, hot sheets, and things like that. So with this being said, this is a bonus tip. If you have active clients on hot sheets and they're going to be buying in the next couple of months, I personally will actually turn off the hot sheet email that goes to them, and I'll send it to myself. So once it goes to me, I then personalize the message. So I'll take the homes that they've been getting, I'll put them into a text message and say, hey, this morning these homes came across my desk. I know this is one that you may be super interested in. Would you want to go see in person? Now this person's getting a personalized message from you. They see that you're on top of it, and it's just not an automated update, and they feel even more connected and motivated to go see homes because you're personally reaching out, ready to schedule them and helping them show homes. So that's just a little bonus tip that you guys can implement and use. So this is a funny little graphic. I am sure this is a ton of information. And so I want to pause here and do a mini Q&A, not with speaking, but in the chat. So if anybody has questions or comments, clarification, whatever it may be, I just want to pause here for a second so we can dive into those questions before moving forward. So if anybody has questions or wants clarification, throw them in the chat. I'll wait for a second, and then we will continue forward, because I know I am word vomiting. I'm just trying to give you as much as I can because everybody's busy. And so I'm trying to crank through this so it's not 4 hours long, which it's not going to be. Nobody has questions. Okay. Okay. On knock 4 of knocking, is it worth going deeper on your first approach? The fourth time you knock, 100%, you want to refer back to your first approach significantly. You should say, hey, first time we talked, I know you were waiting for your daughter to graduate, which is coming up next year, or I know you're waiting for a pay raise. Where are you at with that stuff? Reference that stuff all day long, so you can seem very caring and knowledgeable in the conversations you've had. Will I be sharing which CRM I use? 100%. We'll go into that in a second. Shall we set up a hot sheet notification email system to be instant or only send on a weekly basis? Super awesome question. For active clients, instant. For anyone else, weekly. You don't want to be blowing somebody up every single day with properties. I send it out weekly on a different day than my weekly email goes out if I'm sending a weekly email, or it obviously doesn't matter if it's a monthly email. So, oh, Michael, first knock. Should you go deeper right away and get personal? Yes, 100%. I've had times where I have, on the first time I've met somebody, talk to them about their personal debt, credit card debt, student loans, divorces, like crazy stuff. I get super personable because of the approach I take with talking to them and being just super caring, where I say, hey, is it okay if I get a little personal with you? And I start asking those type of questions. How many doors would you knock on average, daily, weekly? Ooh, number of doors, I don't know. I didn't track how many doors I knocked, but the thing I did track is how many conversations I had, which means how many people actually opened and I was able to talk to. And that was anywhere between 30 to 40 every single day, usually. Sometimes less, sometimes more. What do you use to track personal notes? I use my iPhone. I have a Google spreadsheet that I plug everything into, where I have a notes section, like a contact section and all of that stuff. And so I would just plug in there, hey, this was Jeff. He is wanting to move to this city. He's waiting so he can have more equity in his house, whatever his objection was. Is there a group where you would recommend joining to talk about door knocking? Yes, well, I'm biased. I mean, obviously, I have the door-to-door agent bootcamp. It's my training program for knocking doors. The other place that is a free resource is Real Estate Agent School Facebook group on Facebook. And then my Instagram and YouTube, commenting on that type of stuff. So those are probably the main resources I would refer you to. The hot sheet is set up in your MLS, right? Not a separate website. Totally depends. Some MLSs have an awesome hot sheet that you can use perfectly. Works great. Mine works that way. I use my MLS, but my CRM also has that capability. So if your brokerage has a CRM that allows hot sheets or whatever it may be, you can just kind of feel what you like best. So, okay, let's dive back into it. We'll have a ton of more time for questions at the end. Okay, so next thing we're going to dive into is an active client. I want to give you 3 one-liner scripts to get a client to respond. Because honestly, if there's an active client, you're not really following up. You're obviously showing them homes and you're currently working with them. But the problem we all run into is when an active client ghosts you. They disappear and they stop responding, which is the worst. I hate it because you're so stoked. You're like showing them homes, ready to go, and they stop responding. And so these are some of the 3 things I say: text them, email them, whatever it may be, whatever communication mode you've had most success with, to get them to respond. The first one being, I want to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. What did you think of that house we saw last week, last month, yesterday, whatever it may be? I wouldn't say yesterday because that's probably not long enough to wait. But if you haven't heard from him in like a week and you've been reaching out, I would say something like this. Just be like, hey, I just want to make sure I'm on top of things. What did you think of that house, or kind of where are you at? Next. And for those that want these little blips, it'll be in the resource that you guys will get from being a part of this call. So, oh, sorry, that's a little high. The next one is, I want to make sure I'm giving you the absolute best service possible. Are you still interested in blank? So if you're trying to set up a listing appointment, showing a home, rental, whatever it may be, saying something like this, where you're just saying, hey, I'm taking it on me. I want to make sure I'm giving you the best client experience, service, whatever it may be. Are you still interested? The reason why these questions are pointed in this way or asked in this way is to invoke a psychological response of reciprocity, where they're thinking, oh, like he's just trying to do his job, I should respond. Like it almost makes them feel a little bit guilty, where we of course don't want them to feel guilty, but it's more so just being like, he's trying, and so I should respond and just give him an update of kind of where I'm at. It invokes a response. And then lastly, hey there, I'm big on making sure all of those around me are taken care of. I just want to make sure I did not do anything to steer you in a different direction. This one is extremely powerful. Use it as at your own discretion, because this is kind of a Hail Mary approach in a sense, where if it's been a while and they haven't heard from you and you're just wanting to say, hey, I just want to make sure we're still good to go. This one, a lot of the time, will invoke a response because people want to be thoughtful and courteous. So up next, this is a big section. We're going to go through all of these for the follow-up of what I do for sphere of influence. Sphere of influence is those around you, family, friends, people you work out with, people you go horseback riding with, pickleball, whatever it may be. Those are sphere of influence, the people that you spend time with, and then past clients. This is the system I use and the activities I use. And I'm going to break down every single one of these: email list, birthday gift cards, personal phone call, pop buys, follow up with value, and then social media. So up first, I know we talked about the email list and how that works, but I make sure that my SOI and past clients are on that email list because it's crucial. It's the most simple way for you to follow up with those people and make sure they keep seeing your name, make sure they keep hearing from you. I'm not going to go deep into this because it's really super self-explanatory. Just make sure you don't separate leads and sphere of influence and past clients on email lists. Just lump them all together and send it to everybody. Birthday gift cards, super, super powerful. You don't have to include a gift card in what you send out, but I actually have them right here. I have these birthday gift cards in my desk, and I sit down once a month and write out handwritten birthday cards, wishing them a happy birthday for every single client that I have with a birthday that month. I send them all at once. I don't try to get it delivered specifically on their birthday. I write in there, hey, this is going to be coming before or after. Just wanted to wish you a birthday. When I do include a gift card, it's for a client that I really love, and they have done multiple transactions with me. They've referred me business. Just somebody that's kind of a higher tier type client. I don't send gift cards to every single client because that would get crazy expensive and also just a ton of work. And so I kind of differentiate, which I'll go over at the end of this when we talk about our CRM as well. Scott, yeah, client being someone I have done a deal with. And I also am only, so I'm only sending a birthday gift card to people that I've done deals with. I don't send birthday gift cards to my entire sphere of influence. This is only to past clients. Okay. So, if we have questions, let me know. We'll go over those at the end. Personal phone call. This is super simple. This is either inviting them to a client event, reaching out to them just to check in, and just making sure you call your SOI and past clients once a quarter. So what I do is try to break it up so I know how many people I need to call every single quarter. And it's super easy for me because of client events. I've built my business around having a client event at least once a quarter. So I personally call my past clients in sphere of influence and just say, hey, want to see how you guys are doing. Have another client event coming up or a client appreciation event. We'll love to see you there. And then I just have a conversation with them. This is super time consuming because some of my clients love to talk to me. They talk to me for 45 minutes, an hour, tell me about their grandkids. And I love every single second of it, because if you can get to that point in your relationship with the client, you're home free. That client will be yours forever. I've had clients invite me and my family to dinner. Craziness. You have no idea how cool real estate can be if you're getting to the point where people are inviting you to dinner because of you helping them buy or sell a house. It's pretty amazing. And that's what I love about it, is because you can get to that point with these people by being genuine and following up with them, not for the purpose of, hey, I just want to give you a call. Do you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell? No, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody cares. I'm calling to say, how are you? That's it. I just want to follow up. And obviously, if I have a client event, it's even better. So next, pop buys is something I want to spend some time on. Oh, sorry, that was loud. Pop buys are so awesome. If you don't do pop buys or don't know what they are, it literally is you going to your past client's home. And again, this is only for past clients, not sphere of influence. And you're dropping something off. So it could be a little fireworks sparkler package for the 4th of July. It could be a Mother's Day gift, or like last year I did cupcakes for Mother's Day. Like, and sometimes you don't need to bring something by. Literally just show up and say, hey, I was in the neighborhood, wanted to swing by and see how you guys are doing. Do you need anything? I've done this before, and my client needed to move a water heater. I was dressed like this. I was dressed in slacks and a button up, and I was like, let's roll, let's do it. So I went in there and moved a water heater for them. And they were super, super appreciative. And if you do these type of things, that's what creates a incredible relationship with clients, to the point where you can not have to prospect anymore. And I hope you guys can feel that and see that, really, if you were treated this way by a service provider, would you use anybody else? No. Would you want to give this person as much business as you possibly could? 100%. And that's why it works. And that's why, if you can scale as quickly as you possibly can with talking to as many people as you can, putting them in your database and closing as many deals as you can, and implementing this, that's how you get from being a new agent to never prospecting again and selling over 10 million in volume every single year. So anyways, pop buys are amazing. Super simple. Just come by, drop something off, have a conversation with them, go to the next. Personal value add. This is, I try to make one of my pop buys or one of my touches, if it's a phone call or an email, a CMA on their home, if it's valuable, because sometimes a CMA is not valuable if their home has gone down in value. Most of the time it's good to have an update, but for the most part, I try to time it if their home's going to have equity and it's going to be an exciting thing to hear about. Another thing is you could just update them on future development in the neighborhood, just giving them a piece of value for a past client and such. So pretty self-explanatory and simple there. The last thing of, and a lot of this has been applicable to past clients, but this is applicable to sphere of influence and past clients, is social media. I follow, or at least try to follow, every single client I've ever worked with on social media. The reason I do this is because I'm able to see their lives. I'm able to comment on their posts. I'm able to congratulate them when they have a promotion. I'm able to send them a baby outfit or a drop by if they just had a baby. Like, I'm able to see where they're at in their life and what's going on in their day-to-day, so I can get to know them better. I can become their friend, and I can create that deeper, better relationship with them and truly be a part of their life. And so whenever I do a deal, I let my client know. I say, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm going to follow you on Instagram and I'm going to tag you in our closing picture. I do this for all my clients. I just want to make sure that we can stay in touch, stay friends on social media. I can be a part of your guys' lives, and you guys can see that picture and share it if you'd like. Free marketing for you if they reshare or post it or things like that. And a lot of the times, a lot of your clients will share your posts, where if you post about a client event or post a market update or whatever it may be, I've had clients share that to their page, and it just boosts my engagement and boosts people seeing my name and knowing who I am. So moving on to the CRM. I've had some questions on this, and CRM is super important. think a lot of people overthink this, where a CRM needs to be something crazy when it really doesn't. It's totally based off of your needs and your wants. And so the biggest thing is just having a CRM you understand and will actually use. I've had CRMs where they're way too complex and I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this, so I don't even use it. And I revert back to having an Excel spreadsheet with all my clients on it. Not the best way to go about it. Having software and having something that truly boosts your productivity and efficiency is super, super important. And so a couple must-haves for a CRM. For me specifically, my CRM that I use is with my brokerage. It's the software that they have within it. I use that and it covers all of these bases where I can categorize my leads by saying this is a hot lead, this is a cold lead, this is a buyer, this is a seller, whatever it may be, I can categorize them. It allows me to track metrics. So for example, this is a super important metric to track if you aren't, is who has given me referrals. So for example, if somebody has said, hey, you should work with this person, has given me their information, and then I've closed that deal, those are two different metrics where I say, okay, they've given me 5 referrals and I've closed 3 of them, or whatever it may be, tracking that, because that will then increase that person on your hierarchy of clients in a sense, where if you have 10 people that are referring you 2 deals a piece every single year, that's 20 deals a year. And pretty much all you need to do is bow down to those 10 people, take them to lunch, pop by their house, bring them birthday gifts, whatever it may be. They're going to feed your business for life. And so tracking who those people are and how to focus on those people is super important. Marketing capability. So being able to easily know and send out emails. If you personally want to use your CRM to blast out emails, that's great. If you just want to use Gmail and use the like BCC thing where you can hide all of the contacts or whatever, that's great as well. So that one's important, but not as important. And then it's a cherry on top if your CRM has automations where you can pretty much, a lead comes in and it automatically sends something to them, or a lead comes in and it sets them up on a hot sheet, whatever it may be. Automations just make your life easier. It's not necessary, but something that is useful. One thing that I will say is automations are super powerful when it comes to adding a lead. So if you can get to the point where you're adding a lead, and once a lead is added, your introductory video is sent to them, where if you have a video where you're saying, hey, my name's Cameron Ure, I'm with Fathom Realty. So great that I was able to connect with you. I'm excited to help you in your buying process because I know buying or selling is a super stressful experience. Please let me know if I can help you with anything and we'll be in touch. Or I don't know, I just made that up, but something like that. You can kind of customize it yourself. So your CRM is a way to track, input, market, do all of that stuff. Super important to have. I would make sure you have one that you are comfortable with and can use and be consistent with. Okay. Lastly, well, I don't know. I think this is one of the last slides before we jump into the question section of this. If you circle prospect for door knocking, cold calling, leverage technology. So if you have a social media platform and you're knocking a specific neighborhood, pay for a targeted ad for that neighborhood. Introduce yourself and say, hey, you've probably seen me around, or you've probably heard me. I'm calling through the neighbors because of XYZ. I would love the opportunity to meet with you to go over. I mean, that's a horrible ad, but you get what I'm saying. Like, create an ad, target that neighborhood, and leverage social media, especially if you're already running ads. It's smart to circle prospect and run an ad, door knock and run an ad. It's just a bonus way of staying top of mind and following up with the people that you've already spoken with. So lastly, I'm going to chuck this link in the comments once we're done with the Q&A, but you can also plug and play the link right there. It's at the bottom. This will be completed by the end of the week. I am perfecting it. The main reason I haven't finished it yet is because I want your feedback to add from this call today of what things you would like specifically in it. But this follow-up guide is going to be a step-by-step process of all of the ideas and techniques that I've gone over today in a checklist / calendar guide. So it will say monthly, do this, quarterly, do this, yearly, do this. And then it'll have the different steps, ideas to do which step and stuff like that. And so hopefully that is super, super valuable for you guys and is going to be used to leverage your business and your success. And so, yeah, this is the end of the training for the material side of things, but I want to open it up to you guys for questions where you can actually come on, talk with me. And so the easiest way to do that is to just like raise your hand and I will call on you in a sense. So I can unmute you and we can talk back and forth and go from there. I will add that link right now. Let me grab that 1 second. That way I can add it in the comments for you guys. And then we'll jump into the Q&A section. Whoops, pasted it twice. Okay. All right, I just added that. Let me know if it works. Let me know if there's any problems or anything like that. Let's see. Steve, you're up, my man.
Hey, what's up, Cameron? Can you hear me?
Absolutely. How's it going?
Great, dude. Thanks for the talk so far. It was awesome. I did have a question. I'm with Keller Williams, and they have like a neighborhood nurture, which kind of just sends out like local listings in their neighborhood. Do you think that is sufficient and is similar enough to doing like an MLS hot sheet?
So one thing I want to clarify on for the neighborhood nurture versus a hot sheet is neighborhood nurture is because I was with Keller Williams and you may need to correct me. It's been a while. But that's specifically for their neighborhood or a neighborhood that you pick, right?
Yep.
Okay. So both are fine. The only criteria or clarification I would make is making sure that it's specified for them. So it's like tailored to specifically what they're looking for and what their wants are. So you can send them exactly what you talked about and what they're looking for. So yeah, neighborhood nurture would be totally fine.
Gotcha. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, totally. Scott.
Hey, thanks. First off, thank you so much for what you're doing. Like it's really awesome, and you're providing amazing stuff to us all. So just want to say thank you, first of all.
Appreciate that.
How do you, so my question is like, how do you track who you've knocked on? Like, what do you maybe use to track? I know you said I think you said your iPhone, because like, and what happens if you come to the door? Like, do you remember each person's name before you go to knock on it the second time?
Yeah, great question. So Scott, for you're going to be ahead of other people because you actually have access to this. It's in the door-to-door agent boot camp. It's my spreadsheet that I use. It's a resource in there that you can find and I'll send to you just to make sure you have it. But it's a super, super simple Excel spreadsheet where it's nothing crazy to what?
I use it.
Yeah, fantastic. And so what I do is before I go knock on the door for the second time, I'll look through my phone and say, okay, this is the house. This is the person that lives here. And these were the notes from the previous conversation. So I just reference it real quick. So when I knock, I say, hey, Jeff, it's great to see you again. I don't know if you remember me, Cameron, we talked 2 months ago.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool. Awesome.
Good answer.
Any other questions? I hope I'm not missing anybody's hand. Anybody else raise their hand? Alec.
Hey, Cameron, do you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
All right, appreciate this. Just have a question. When you're door knocking, do you approach people that are already outside as well? Like, for example, if a family walks by you with their dogs and kids, would you also talk to them?
That's a great question. It's double-edged because
yeah,
go for it.
No, it's because I don't know, because I don't know what to say, and sometimes it feels awkward when I'm outside door knocking, and all of a sudden a big family walks by me, and I'm like, do I just wave at them, or should I also talk to them as well?
Yeah. So Me personally, and I may just be a different breed, I'm 100% going to talk to them. And I may just be crazy in that sense. But the reason is my very first door knocking door was this type of client. I was walking down the street, or I was walking in a condo complex, and I had passed his door and had already gone past it. And he was walking to his door, and I stopped him and said, "Hey," then gave him my normal pitch. I was like, "Hey, do you live in one of these homes," or whatever it may be, and just gave him the normal pitch. And I had their house listed a week later. And so for me, I would, even though it's uncomfortable, kind of getting out of your comfort zone is what door knocking and prospecting is all about. So,
Right. That's amazing. Got it.
yeah,
I mean, even people, because I've had a couple instances where I'm at their door and then their car pulls up and they just got home from work and I don't
love
know what
it.
to do.
Yep.
Like,
The most awkward situation you'll ever be in. And I love sitting there waiting for them to get out.
okay.
That's what I do. And like I said, I feel uncomfortable doing it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not comfortable in any sense sitting there waiting for them, but they know I've been at their door. And so it's even more awkward or weird or almost sketchy for me to just like leave and not say anything.
Right.
For me, I'd rather wait, have them either come to the door or get out of the car and just say, "Hey, I just saw you pulled up. I'm just actually talking to the neighbors," and then pitch them from there.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, 100%. Samuel.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what do you do about the homes of ring alarms on there? Are you just knocking on the door, or are you clicking on that ring? Because I feel like if you click on that ring, it's so easy for them to not actually come to the door and then just tell you to get out of there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw my wife under the bus here because she's obviously very supportive of door knocking people and door-to-door salespeople, because I am one. I've built my business off of that. But a ring is an absolute cheat code for a homeowner, where even if you knock, you can still look at the ring and see who's out there. So the reason why I dress the way I do when knocking doors is specifically because of this. I don't wear a name tag. I don't have a clipboard. I don't have anything like that, because I want to look like a neighbor just coming by. So they have to either answer or say something to me. A lot of the time, they're going to talk through the ring or open the door, more so probably through the ring. But when they do open the door or even talk through the ring, I don't change anything. Actually, majority of the time, I will still say my normal pitch. If it's through the ring, I'm going to be way more concise and just say, "Hey, I'm here talking to the neighbors," and kind of tell them why I'm there. And then I kind of cut it off there and ask if I should come back another time or something like that. I don't go all the way into it. And I just more so hope that they answer the door and go from there. So hopefully that is somewhat of a answer.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
If someone's like, "You should not come back another time," like, do you still come back another time?
If somebody's rude like that and says like, "Hey, don't come back," I have gone back for sure, but majority of the time it's based on like how rude they were. Like if they were super rude, where it was like, no, I wouldn't even want to work with that person anyways, I don't go back. But if like it's more of just like a, "Hey, I'm busy right now," like, no, like we're not available, I'm gonna swing back around and just say, "Hey, I know you're busy last time," and then value, and so it's not like a annoying type pitch. So Marcel.
Hey, so now you had me thinking of another question. How do you dress when you go door knocking normally?
Like this. I don't know if you can fully
Yeah,
tell. I got
like
slack pants on.
okay.
Yeah, I dress super normal. I dress in a button up, like polo if it's warm, and if it's in the winter, I am pretty much just wearing like a puffer jacket or like a winter type jacket, and then like slacks. I'm not wearing jeans or shorts or anything like that. I'm trying to wear like more comfortable, relaxed business type clothes.
Okay, and I have another question. I know you don't know how many doors you would knock when you first started, but I guess like approximately how many would you recommend, or at least how many conversations if you would want to get like a new listing a week, if that's like your goal?
So I just recently put out a YouTube video about this, where you have to figure out your tolerance to knocking. The biggest question or I guess trick is finding your burnout rate to the point where if you're saying, okay, I'm going to knock 500 doors a day, you're going to be able to do that for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. I mean, maybe not even that long. And that's not the point. You need to figure out if you can, however much you can knock and be consistent at it for 2 years straight, because that's the whole point of real estate is you're going to succeed if you're consistent. And so long answer, like what I would say is if you can go to the point where you're like, I'm dead. I've knocked a ton. I've knocked as much as I can today or this week. I would add a little bit to that, add another hour of knocking or add another 5 conversations, whatever it may be, and then make that your standard and do that for a couple of months and see the results that you get. Door knocking is a long haul, even cold calling or whatever it may be. You have to do it consistently for a couple of months to find your metrics, because once you found your metrics, you can change them from there. You can say, okay, I need to get over the fact that I'm not producing enough business with the amount of knocking, and I need to push myself more. Or if you're drowning in business, you're like, this is a good problem to have. I'm going to now outsource. I'm going to hire a buyer's agent. I'm going to hire an assistant. I'm going to hire transaction coordinating. That's the best problem to have. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Michael.
Hey, Cameron, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. What's the best or most common way that you set an appointment at the end of a door knock?
The most common way I set an appointment at the end of a door knock is by asking the prospect to find 3 homes that they like, regardless of like they want to move or are interested in moving, but like find, hey, 3 homes that you like that would fit your criteria. Don't focus a whole ton on price. Send those to me, and I would love to run the numbers on them and come back tomorrow night and kind of go through the scenario and see if it would make sense to buy or sell sooner rather than later. And that's how I usually transition into an appointment.
Great. And what if they don't send you those homes, but you thought they were a pretty good lead still? Do you just, I guess, follow up with like a phone, like just wait to door knock or phone them or?
Yeah, so that's when I implement them into the active lead category, where I'm now personally sending them homes and say, hey, from our conversation, this is something that you were interested in. And then I'll also go back at the specified time I set out the door. So if they don't send me the homes, but we talked about me coming back at a time, that's when I go back. I show up on their door and just say, hey, I didn't see those homes come through. Is now still a good time to meet. I've even gone as hard as them opening the door and being like, hey, do you want me to take my shoes off? And like assuming the sale in the sense where like, oh, I'm coming in. Like, do you want my shoes coming off or not? You know, like that's sometimes what I've done, but majority of the time it's just putting them on a hot sheet, following up with them and giving them time to get back to you.
All right, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. Steve, do you have another question? Your hand was still up.
Yeah, I do. Just a quick question on, do you have a focus on like a price range that you're knocking, or condos, single family homes? Just do you have a general focus of like what type of home you're knocking?
For me, it was condos and townhomes because of transitory lifestyle, where most people are not going to be in a condo or townhome very long, and it's likely it's not going to be their forever home. And so that's what I focused on, is more so not necessarily price point. It's more so where the people that are going to move most frequent or most often.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Jeremiah. You there, Jeremiah? Can't hear you for talking. Throw it in the comments if you have a question.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay. Hey, first off, thank you so much. I don't know what was going on there. 2 questions. Is that okay?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, cool. One is body language, like how far back to stand from the door, angling the body, things like that. The second is, do you ring, knock, wait, ring, or what's the actual physical door knock strategy?
Yeah, geez, I need to hold a door knocking call like this. Y'all are curious about door knocking more than follow up.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I'm happy to answer questions. That's what I'm here for, and that's what's most important, answering what you guys need. So, how far I stand back is based on the home. So if it's a tight condo townhome situation, I try to back up as much as I can. A lot of the time when I'm standing there, I am pretty relaxed. I lean up against the wall. I am pretty like pretty in the sense of just like I'm your neighbor. I'm super relaxed. I'm not like coming to sell you anything. That's kind of how I can explain it best in a body language standpoint. From a knock situation, I ring the doorbell and then knock twice. I do a ding dong and then knock, knock. And yeah, that's about it. And then if they don't answer, I will knock again. I don't necessarily ring again because I want to be like conscientious of people that maybe have babies or something like that. But after the second knock, I usually will leave. It's rare that I'll knock 3 times, but I usually at least try to knock twice.
And you'll wait maybe 20 seconds before that.
Yeah,
Not
roughly.
that second knock.
Yeah, whatever
Cool.
feels comfortable. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, Scott, I saw you were saying you have a strategy on this. Yeah, I'd love to.
Well, it relates to a question I had too, and I'll share a little bit. So if you knock somebody and like 4 dogs, because you always like hear those dogs coming, and you're like, oh no,
like, oh, crap. Yeah.
So then you're like, the person's like, yeah, what do you want, right? And like initially, I'm just like pitching through the hole. I'm like, I'm sir here. He's like, get out of here, you know.
Yeah.
But now I've kind of like implemented this into like, hey, can I talk to you outside for a second? Like I just try to do this like kind of like, hey, can I talk to you out here for a second? Like it's almost not a sale, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which sometimes will get them outside, and then the dogs are fine. Okay, but initially I'm just like pitching into the hole. Sometimes they see through it. But the other thing, as far as the knock thing, what I do is I'll knock, and then I'll wait like 30 seconds. So like if they're looking up from a desk, I'm assuming, or whatever they're doing, they're like, he's gone. And then I'll knock again.
Yeah.
So they're like, geez, I'm going away. And then they like have to get up. That's like was my strategy for the knocking. And then at the end, I'll hit the ring and I'm out.
Yeah, cool. No, totally. I love the hey, come talk to me outside strategy, because you get crying kids or barking dogs or whatever maybe, and it's challenging. And sometimes you just have to give your best shot, be as quick and concise as possible, and it is what it is. And then that's the point of follow-up system, is where you go back, re-knock them, try to circle back around. And so, yeah, appreciate that. Alec.
Hey, thank you. I just have a quick question. So I've had, I think 3 people now say, like when I say the script, like, hey, did your neighbor let you know I was coming by? I've had 3 people say who or which neighbor, and then I didn't know what to say to that. And I was wondering, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, so for sure. So that's all about establishing yourself in the neighborhood before necessarily using that. And so, but that's either by talking to a neighbor and having a solid conversation where they refer you and say, hey, like, yeah, maybe some other people in the neighborhood would be interested. And then you can refer to that person, just be like, because you actually talked to them and had a conversation. The other thing I've been able to do is if there's an active listing in the neighborhood, you can just say, oh yeah, I was talking to the listing agent on this house. And that's kind of what I reference in a sense of what people are. And majority of the time, if people ask, like just by kind of brushing it off in the sense of like, oh yeah, just like the neighbor down the street, their house is that currently listed for sale, and then going into it. The biggest thing is you just don't want to lie. So make sure you do your research, know somebody in the neighborhood, talk to an agent, go to the like know who the homeowner is that their home is currently for sale. So like by talking to the agent, being able to be like, oh yeah, I was just referencing the Jeffersons down the street. The home is for sale. Easy enough. You go into your pitch.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Michael.
Hey, when you're going to a follow-up appointment after you've already knocked their door, you're showing them the 3 homes, you're going over the numbers. What is going on in that kind of presentation? Are you trying to potentially get them to sign paperwork there sometimes, or?
No, almost never. I mean, you can, of course, if you want to do a legit listing presentation, but when I go to that appointment, follow-up appointment, just like circling back around from knocking, I'm actually, I kind of take my real estate agent hat off and I almost put on my financial advisor hat, where I say, hey, here are your 3 homes. Let's look at the whole entire picture. Let's look at your debt. Let's look at your current home's equity. Let's look at these 3 homes. This is what the payments would be on each. What could we do with your equity to pay off debt, put as down payment, save, and start like building this puzzle? Because majority of the time, if you can build the puzzle correctly for the 3 homes that they want, they're then like, yeah, this could make sense. And you're like, great, let's go. Let me go schedule some appointments to go see these homes. And now you're out showing them homes. And so what I always say is door knocking isn't for listings, it's for buyers, because those buyers automatically become your sellers without you having to fight for them, because you've already earned their business as a buyer. The listing appointment then becomes just super easy.
For sure. Thanks. Makes sense.
Yep. Anyone else have questions before we finish it up for today? I appreciate y'all being on the call. It's been awesome. Scott.
Hey, Cameron, your CRM, these are easy questions. CRM, does that CRM, does it cover like the mass email if you're sending out to 300 contacts? Do those cover that?
Does. Mm-hmm.
It does.
Are you
And the other
talking
question
about, are you talking about the
Monday.
One I have now or the one I used to use, Monday.com?
Does Monday.com handle it?
No, Monday.com didn't. And that's when I would implement all the emails into a Gmail email and just send it all at once. It's pretty much the same thing.
Gotcha.
Just adds an extra step.
Random question about like event, like if you're doing an event, I was considering doing like a movie night. You mentioned that before, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
How do you pick the movie?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's
It's a silly
two,
question, but
there's 2 things to consider when picking the movie. One is if you pick a too family friendly movie, you're going to be buying a ton of tickets for younger kids that don't buy houses. And so, but if you pick a like more intense movie, you may not be able to get as many people to attend. Like if you're doing a movie event for like The Grudge, like I wouldn't recommend that, But like if there's like a new Marvel movie coming out, or one that was incredible was Top Gun. Perfect movie because it's like, hey, date night with the wife, whatever it may be. And so it's more the ideal client coming. And so your expenses are a little bit lower, but still a huge turnout because everybody wanted to see it. And so that's kind of what I would keep in mind when picking an event.
gotcha. Okay, cool.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. Well, let's finish up there. As always, if you have questions, need anything, please reach out to me on Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel, go to realestateagentschool.co for more information on me, for how I can help grow your business and answer more of your questions. And this will be recorded. And so if you want to reference back to it, it will be on my YouTube channel and some other places as well. So thank you all for hopping on, and I will hear from you and see you in the future. Have a great rest of your day.